Be some people that would like to make public comments tonight. I'm a pretty smart guy, I am. I would like to read our policy for the City Council before you get started. When you come up to address the council, please come to the podium, please speak into the microphone, and state your name and municipality of residence. The presiding, and this goes on another part of the policy. The presiding officer shall have the right at any time to stop all citizen comments when in the presiding officer's discretion such input violates the provisions of these rules or is otherwise irrelevant, repetitious, or disruptive. After a reasonable period of time has been devoted to citizens' comments and all of those desiring to provide comment have not had a chance to do so, the citizens' comments section may be closed upon a motion and seconded of the City Council and the majority vote in favor thereof. If numerous persons wish to speak on a single topic, the City Council may recognize a specific number of individuals who wish to speak in favor of or against to make a general comments regarding the issue. And there's a 3-minute time limit for anybody who wishes to make public comments, and there'll be the fire chief is our official timekeeper. Generally, what we will do is we give 3 minutes, and we'll generally give a half hour to speak. If someone does not have the opportunity to speak, we would ask that you come back to the next City Council meeting or City Council after this to express your opinion, or if you'd like to put something in writing, we would be happy to receive that. So with that, I'd like to call this meeting of the Zion City Council to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Here.
Commissioner McDowell?
Here.
Commissioner McKinney?
Here.
Commissioner Deteen?
Here.
Mayor Hill?
Here. Pastor Carlson?
Thank you, Your Honor. I appreciate the opportunity. This is like church, community coming together, a lot of good people with a lot of passionate ideas, and there's always seats open in front, so it's just like church. Let's pray, shall we? God in heaven, thank you so much. You are the creator, the sustainer of life. You are the eternal God, and you are the Father. You are the giver of every good and perfect gift. You're the healer of broken hearts. You're the healer of broken relationships. You're the God who hears us, answers us in your time and for your honor and glory, and always beyond our expectations. You are great and awesome, and we come to you humbly, but with gratitude that we can do so in the name of Jesus. And I ask that you'd help us today, Father. Thank you for our community. We're strong in so many ways. Thank you, Father, for the unity that we can have in our community, for the dialogue that we can have one with another, for the fairness and the graciousness of our speech, that we can make our points and make them well, without infringing on others or hurting people. I thank you, Father God, for the gathering of the community together in this place. I thank you for the mayor and the commissioners, for all the officials in this city, those that are selected, those that are elected. Father, we pray for them and thank you that they're doing their jobs well in really trying times and with far few dollars, Father, and far few answers for the questions that vex us. But I thank you that they show up every day, they do their job, and they do it to the best of their ability. So I pray for them. I pray for them not just tonight, but every day. I pray for our police and fire. Father, we pray for all the support staff, Father, as well. We thank you that we can be here. We ask for grace upon this place. We ask for peace. We ask for your presence, which brings both of those. And we love you, and we thank you that we can do so in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item number 4 on the agenda are agenda changes. Do any of the commissioners have agenda changes? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. For discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner Deteen?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item number 5 is the public hearing on the appropriation ordinance. I now declare the public hearing open. I turn this over to City Administrator Nabel.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. You have before you the appropriation ordinance for the fiscal year May 1st, 2018 through April 30th, 2019. This is a required ordinance that per state statutes we have to adopt before July 31st of each year. This gives the city, this is basically our legal authority for spending of funds for the operations of the city. This includes the general fund and all other funds, water, sewer, street, bridge, motor fuel tax, all that. So this is a citywide total. This is higher than anything we would have that we're going to be proposing in the budget. The budget is basically our internal document that we use for operations. However, if there are emergencies that come up, if there's unforeseen main breaks or weather-related emergencies that we need to expend funds to address, this gives us legal authority to do so, assuming we would have revenue coming in from FEMA or things of that nature, other grants to address those issues. But we don't want to get caught not being able to spend funds when we need to. So this is always, our budget is always more conservative than this, so this is just a proposed number to meet the requirement. So the total appropriations for the year ended April 30th, 2019 is $42,328,758. And at this point, if there's any questions on that, we'd have to address them.
Commissioners have any questions? Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve this appropriations ordinance for the fiscal year 2018-2019.
No, that's just the public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me.
That's okay.
My bad. Is there anybody who wishes to speak and address the appropriation ordinance in the audience? Okay, I declare the public hearing closed. Item number 6, the citizens' comments. We have 7 people who wish to speak on animal control. We have one person, Crit Harris.
Yes, sir.
I'll ask you to step forward and speak first, and you want to address the cars are driving too fast down Elisha.
Yes, sir. How you doing? My name is Crit Harris. I stay at 3114 Elijah. I saw one of my neighbors, John. I'm quite sure you know him. I don't know his last name. I met Bob outside that works here. Anyway, we pulled up to see when was the next meeting going to be, and we saw Bob outside. One of our complaints was the driving too fast from 33rd Street to 31st Street. So by talking to Bob, we was asking, could y'all put speed bumps, but he told us that you couldn't do that because you tried it before on 23rd and didn't work out. So we was thinking about a sign right there, a stop sign on 23rd and Carmel, a 3-way stop sign, or we were just throwing things in the air, a 3-way stop sign, or more police, just post police in the area, because I'm retired from the VA hospital, so I'm kind of there all the time. And my next door neighbor and the neighbor after me, everybody has kids, a lot of them, you know, and they go across to the park or across, you know, just to play, and it's a lot of traffic, it's a lot of fast traffic. And so we just wanted to put this on paper, let you guys know, and maybe you can kind of help us out on this situation.
We certainly will, and I would ask that you contact the police department tomorrow and see if we can come up with a solution that will be satisfy you and the neighbors on Elisha. Speed bumps are a problem because we have to plow in the winter.
Right, that's what he told us, yes. Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Have Carrie Johnson, and are you the only one that wants to speak on this issue?
Yes.
Okay, because there's a lot of people here that are, and you're speaking.
My neighbors, if you just want to stand while I speak, so you know who we represent.
Carrie Johnson.
Carrie Johnson, KERRYJOHNSON.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Carrie Johnson.
I can't see your phone.
Good evening. My name is Carrie Johnson. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to speak for our group. You may be wondering who we are.
As a member myself of several boards, when I see a large group of people attend a board meeting, I think, who are they? What's on their minds? Before I tell you who we are, I will tell you who we aren't. We are not residents of Zion, and we did not vote for any of you. We're residents of Winthrop Harbor. We're related to you, we're friends with you, we work with you, we shop in your businesses, but no, we didn't vote for any of you. We come to you to let you know how a key component of your budget income, advanced disposal, or as we call them, the dump, has impacted our lives. Yes, we are those people who now live next to the dump. You may have heard about us. A recent newspaper article was written about us that was picked up by the Associated Press across the country. We have a community action group, a Facebook site, and yes, we're angry, frustrated, and vocal. We want you to know how this cash cow for your community has devastated ours. The smell, noise, vermin, and litter are unconscionable. No one would want to live and put up with what we do on a daily basis. Why don't we leave? Many of us have, but many of us can't. The corresponding loss in property values has been devastating. And no, our taxes have not gone down to reflect that. On the contrary, they're higher than they've ever been. And then why should we move? Many of us designed and built our homes before the last expansion. We have friends and neighbors who we enjoy, and we're close to work. When we moved here, the dump was on the other side of the area on Green Bay Road. It did not impact us as it does today until the last expansion. It came to us. And to quote Jim Lewis of Advanced Disposal, landfills expand until there's nowhere left to go. Wow. The smell of gas, rotten garbage, deodorizers, noise, litter, vermin are a daily intrusion in our lives. We've contacted the dump, the health department, the Illinois EPA, and our village. We either get, sorry, you have to take that to Zion, here we are, or you have to learn to live with it, or maybe you can have a new entrance built for your subdivision, or no response at all. And even, it's your fault. You moved there. We want you to know that your decisions are affecting real people. This is not just a passing nuisance. We have no hope that it'll improve. All the promises to reduce noise and smell are ridiculous and insult our intelligence. May I finish? I'm almost done.
Go ahead.
You're probably asking, what do we want? We can ask you to stop, but we know it's not in your interest to do so. We want you to think about the impact to us and that your budget is being made on our backs. We want to be informed from the City of Zion well in advance of hearings for the next zoning and site approval when the process begins again, and we want the next expansion to be denied. If it is, we get 10 more years of this garbage. If it isn't, we have 30 more years. And that means the rest of our lives to most of us. Please keep these thoughts front and center when it comes time for you to decide for us, because we have no vote in this madness. Thank you.
It can get pretty bad when I live out there.
Okay. Ms. Johnson, I just want to respond that we will let you know well in advance of any meetings that are scheduled or any hearings that are scheduled. I just asked if there is the first request, I believe, would have to be a annexation to the city, if that's going to happen. It's not in the city right now. It's unincorporated Lake County. There would be a annexation hearing, is what I'm told, and when that would take place, you will all be notified when it is going to take place.
For the siting hearings.
No, I'm talking about the annexation. Then there would be a siting hearing, which is a complicated and drawn-out process that would determine the health, safety, and all the issues that we are not capable of addressing ourselves. We hire a professional to look at those issues, and they advise the city. You will be, I promise you, you will be notified well in advance of any of those, when any of those things take place. And we have your address, and we will contact through you, or there's a couple other people here that I know. I'll let them know also when these hearings may take place.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That was odd. Then the first person I have on the list for, I'm going to go down the list as you signed in, is Carrie Clark on animal control.
Can we come together? Absolutely, just like they do.
We'd just like to have one person speak.
Yeah, that's fine. We gotta go hand in hand on this.
And
Good evening, my name is Carrie Clark, and I'm here today
who are
because...
the other people that are here with you? please?
Oh, everyone stand up.
No,
That's-
no, the people that are speaking.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, you can still stand. Sue Davis and Chris.
Stenotic.
Can you hear me okay, because I'm tall? You guys can all stand.
Okay, hang on just a minute, folks. We can only have one person talking at a time, please. And I'm sorry, what is your name?
Hi, sir.
Yes.
Chris Stenotic.
Did you sign in?
Yes, I did. It's on the very bottom, sir.
Okay, got it.
So you can cross off.
Thank
three
you.
off.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, my name's Carrie Clark, and I'm here because yesterday I was helping this gentleman find his lost dog, who we found out was taken to Zion Animal Control. I had left messages all afternoon. Nothing was returned. We knew the dog was there. The dog was sick, had had surgery, so it was very important to get him out of there. No calls were returned, no emails were returned. I ended up calling a police officer and asking him if he can come down and with me to get this dog out of there so he can get the proper care. As I pulled in there, I was taken back by this horrific smell, and I knew what it was. So before going to the building, I opened up the dumpster, and you will see here is a deceased German Shepherd laying in the garbage. And there's proper ways for this to be disposed of, and this is not one of them, because that's the first issue. So going inside, the officer was going to get the dog for me, but he was afraid he was aggressive and asked me to go get him, because you're normally not supposed to go back there. I went back there, and I was appalled. I will pass these pictures around of the filth and the grime that these dogs are laying in. I don't know if it's sewage, but it smells, and their dogs are all wet. His dog is soaked, his incision is filth, it's gonna get infected. Why is this going on? I mean, this is, here, let me pass the pictures. It's uncalled for, it's unacceptable, and it needs to change. You guys gotta get some change going on here, and money needs to be allocated. I'm gonna pass these pictures. Sorry I get upset with this, but this is not the first issue that's going on with animal control, and it needs to stop. I don't know if you can allocate some money so kennels can be cleaned up. They need outdoor kennels, and somebody needs to be there. We can't get dog. What do people do when they go to owner surrender? There's nobody there. And I can tell you what they do. They dump their dogs because her and I do trapping. We go out and search for the dogs in Zion. We've been trapping them since last year, and we find probably 10. Why are we doing that? Why isn't animal control doing that? Why are these dogs out there dumped? Because if you look at the picture, this looks like a dungeon. There is no sign, it doesn't say animal control anywhere on there. It's a dump. There's nobody there manning the place. How can you have that? And I'm gonna pass it to Sue because she's got questions to ask.
One of the questions that we definitely need to address are where are the injured or sick animals taken? Let's say a dog gets hit by a car. What vet do you guys have contracted?
Go ahead, why don't you ask the questions and we'll get to them as we...
Okay, well, I'll continue with that. Yesterday, police officers responded when we were over there at Animal Control, taking the videos and taking the pictures of what we had found over there. C.O. Bell, I believe his name is. I will give you that information in 2 seconds. No, officer. told us that if an animal is injured, they're brought down to animal control and they are euthanized. I then questioned, how are they euthanized? They shoot them. They shoot them. They shoot them.
What's that? There's no vet contract.
All right, okay, hang on. All right, I'm going to call on Commissioner McDowell to respond to what you've said.
That's not accurate.
It was
We do
Officer
not-
Meyer.
We do not euthanize any animals here in Zion.
No, not euthanize, they shoot them.
We don't shoot any animals here in Zion.
So which vet do you guys use if you come upon a sick or an injured animal?
I'm not sure. I'll
Okay.
find that out.
Okay, thank you.
You know, folks, listen. We don't need the theatrics. He's trying to answer some questions,
Right.
and he's giving you the best answer he can. He may not know what vet we use. I don't know what vet we use, and we don't need the theatrics, please. We're going to try and do this in a proper way. So you can ask questions and you can address us, and we will try and respond.
And also, we're not here to go after anyone's job. We're not here to down the city. We're here to help. I mean, we're willing to work with you guys. We have volunteered. We have trapped dogs. We came after one. We were asked to come to help with one pit bull that had been dumped down off of Deborah Avenue. We ended up finding 3 more dogs. One of those dogs happened to be escaped from animal control and was left to run the street for 2 months. We put a trap out. We caught that dog within 2 hours.
And that was right behind animal control.
My other question is a report made every time a gun is discharged by an officer in Zion? Is there a report every time a gun is discharged? Okay. Another question is, which crematory are you guys contracted with to dispose of any dead animals, both wildlife and domestic?
We haven't had to dispose of a dog in quite some time.
So animal control, you guys don't have any dead animals that you come across, domestic?
If
Dogs
our
hit by a car.
Public Works Department finds roadkill, they have a process that they follow. They record it and they dispose of it.
Okay. What microchips are used when the animals are returned to their owners?
What are we?
Wouldn't that be an owner? I do have a dog. I have a dog, and my dog is microchipped.
It's state law that animals have to be returned, microchipped, after leaving a shelter. State law.
Okay.
Are we a shelter?
No. Let's go to ordinance. That would be ordinance in the storm.
No, that would be you guys.
When they go back to the owner? Do you guys have a freezer for any dead animals until your contracted service picks them up?
I'm sorry, you have to say it louder.
Do you guys have a freezer at animal control for any dead animals when a dog is deceased?
I don't know.
Okay. I do have a list of changes that, we are requesting. That a vet service is contracted for treatment and humane euthanasia, dead animal removal contract, broken windows fixed, the kennels in the back. You guys have a big outdoor kennel out there that all the brush is all grown up. If that can be cleared, there's not anywhere that the animals could go outside at there and be contained. Allow a trap and release program here in Zion. Waukegan Animal Control has gotten, if you guys accept the help and there's a whole different mindset change of the animals, you guys will have volunteers, you guys will get donations. Right now, with just this post, I've already gotten donations of cots for the dogs to lay on for animal control.
We would gladly
Right.
receive those kind of donations.
Right. Like I said, we're more than willing to work with Randy and work with you guys on this. That the microchips are supplied to the animals before they're returned to the owners. if there can be some, I don't have an answer to this one, some type of stricter restrictions on the owners who are allowing their dogs to run free. We come across, while we were trying to get the lost pit bull, there was so many dogs, I mean, all over the place, unaltered. It's crazy. We're constantly getting posts, hey, I've got loose chihuahuas in the street, one's going after the kids, you know, this was right before school went out, acting like they're gonna bite the kids. Oh, they're my neighbor's dogs. You know, how do you not know that the chihuahuas are running loose, are your neighbor's dogs, but they're running loose? Call animal control. I called animal control. It's still happening.
Your neighbor?
No. I live in Lake Villa. Yeah, it's just because I do so much volunteer here in Zion to find these lost dogs and to trap any of the dogs that aren't able to be caught easily. I'm done.
I have one simple question, and perhaps you can answer it, or Randy can answer it for me.
Sure.
There was an orphanage of the storm tank mounted with an S-hook on my dog's collar. Why did Randy feel the need to remove that? He laughed today and said, oh, that's on my desk, ha, 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 ha. When it's a permanently affixed item on my dog, that's an identification. You don't remove dog identification.
All right, we'll have to follow up with.
When I see, excuse me, I'm not done, sir. I am not done, sir.
Well, you asked him a question, he's answering
All
your
right,
question.
he answered it, but now I was not totally done.
Okay.
Can I see that picture of the dead dog?
Oh, can I have my,
You say that doesn't happen in your facility. That was taken at your facility, sir.
Who put that dog in the dumpster?
He was there when your people were working.
Well, none of our officers did. Our animal control officer did not. Public's work did not. So how that animal got in our dumpster is unknown.
I find it very hard to believe, sir, with disrespect.
can I just make one comment? They had a cake, and I'm gonna tell you what's all that stuff you sprinkle on them, so who took the stuff to put the smell off of? I mean, a stranger's not gonna do that. It's in the picture, you can zoom in, I didn't bring the dumpster picture. They took the time to sprinkle all the stuff to kill the smell.
I think what he's telling you is that there's not a staff member at the city of Zion that put that dog in the dumpster. Now, I can't make you believe that. We are telling you the information that we've gathered today. Whether you believe it or not, I can't make you believe it. But that is what we believe. We believe somebody, a citizen of our community, put the dog in the dumpster.
Very coincidental. Now I have another question. How is it that one of your officers admitted that dogs are shot, euthanized, behind that facility, yet you sit here and deny it? That came out of a Zion police officer, sir. That's the city of Zion admitting to it.
Could you tell me the name of the officer?
I just said it a few minutes ago. Officer Meyer.
Officer Meyer.
And CSO Bell was there, and there was a lieutenant. I'm sorry, I did not get the lieutenant's name.
So, sir, I have to say that was a falsification to me.
I went down to our kennel today, and what I noticed is that our dumpster was knocked over. When I got there, that's what it was.
Can't hear you back here.
Do you know how that occurred?
I'm not responsible for the city of Zion, but I am responsible for animals, and so is the city of Zion. I'd like to ask all of the members on this committee, how many of you have pets? Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Would you want your animals sitting in a squalor like this?
Sir, may I ask you a question?
Yes.
How did your dog end up at animal control?
He broke a part of his leash in my yard in the morning, and he ran off.
Okay.
And I immediately reported him, sir.
Okay.
So that was an accident beyond control.
Okay.
But I ask you now, would you want your animals, your pets, your loved ones in these conditions?
Well, if they're living in my house, no. And if they're at a animal control place, I've had dogs my entire life. I am a pet advocate, as is a couple of our members on the council. So we can listen to the issues that you're talking about. We've heard those loud and clear, and we will move forward in trying to rectify those issues and work with groups if that's legally possible for us to do that.
May I make a recommendation?
Absolutely.
Zion PD, you do get community services, do you not? As in?
No, they
people-
don't.
You do not get people
Police-
who are on probation?
Police department doesn't get it. Your Public Works department gets it.
Public Works
Police
does?
department does not.
There you go. Utilize some of them at the pound.
Say that again?
Utilize some of the community service workers at the shelter.
Well, I'm sorry, it's not that simple. There are restrictions on what they can do, what they can't do, and whether they need to be supervised, and most of them need to be supervised at all times because they're community service, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I'm well aware of community service. I've
Okay.
served it.
Okay.
So.
All right.
All right, thank you. I'm done with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike, did you have some comments?
Yeah.
Hang on, wait, we need to, we are, you may have your seat. We are going to respond here.
On Monday morning, we had an unannounced inspection from...
Mike, can you talk into the microphone?
Yeah. Can everybody hear me okay? Maybe I'll just talk louder, is that all right? I didn't want to appear to be yelling, but I'll just talk louder. On Monday morning, we had an inspection, an unannounced inspection from the Illinois Department of Agriculture, Bureau of Animal Welfare. We have these inspections periodically throughout the years, and in the last 14 years, our animal control officer said they've always had a perfect record of inspections. And this inspection, which was just yesterday, is very similar. We had acceptable categories, acceptable inspection in every category checked, except for one, where we got a mark of fair instead of good. And that had to do with one particular kennel that had a little bit more soiling to it. That particular kennel was cleaned immediately. In that kennel, it was found, according to this inspector, to be odorless. So at that time, we had 4 dogs in the facility and 1 cat during that inspection. So I'm very pleased that we had a positive inspection there. And just to give you an idea of how we care for the animals, and I guess I want to assure you that we do care about the animals in our kennel, and we do take care of them. So the animals are fed once a day. The kennel is cleaned a minimum of once a day, sometimes more. Animals are held for a 3-day period typically because we would like to reunite the animals with their owner. In fact, one of the pictures that you took of a Chihuahua, an older Chihuahua that was down there, was returned successfely to their owner. They were very grateful and pleased that we took care of the animal well. It's an older Chihuahua, and I'm glad to be back home again. So I'm glad for that, that it was reunited with the owner. After a 3-day period, if we can't locate the owner of the animal, it's taken to Orphans of the Storm, and they care for that animal there. As far as the dog that was found in the dumpster, it's unfortunate that happened, but I can assure you that no city employee, including our animal control officer, placed that dog in the dumpster. There are occasions when our residents do and have gone down and placed animals in those dumpsters. It's unfortunate that happens. What we have decided to do, we've contacted Advanced Disposal, and we have asked for a different kind of container down there, one that we can lock, so that type of thing doesn't happen again. If you are interested in helping upgrade our kennel services, there are some things that we feel like would be beneficial. One would be to help with cleaning and resurfacing the floors. If you saw some pictures, some of the paint on that floor, the epoxy paint, is chipping up, and we would like to have that repaired. So if there are people that would be willing to help us to clean that part of it, repaint, or else have it professionally resurfaced, we think that would be a great benefit to our kennel. We also have noted that other kennel services, including now Orphans of the Storm, have these elevated beds, PVC elevated beds, and we would like to get some of those for the animals that we keep in our kennel. So if there's anybody that's willing maybe even to make something like that, or provide some of those beds to keep the animals off of the floor, we would certainly appreciate donations like that. But again, I'd just like to assure you that we care for the animals well and to the best of our ability with the limited resources that we have available. Thank you.
Now, show it.
Can I just ask one question? I should know the answer to this. How long before the Department of AG report is available? Do you know that?
You can have it now.
For dead animals?
No, for your report.
Department of AG for your inspection, yes, for that.
How long?
Yes. Do you know how long before that report is available?
They can have it now, can't they?
Yeah, you can go to our police department and ask for a copy of this.
Can we give her a copy of that? Can we make copies and give it to them right now?
Yeah.
David, could you make some copies, please?
It'll be a copy of a copy, but.
There's Cindy Pitsley, wish to speak?
I don't need to say anything.
Okay. Josie Perez?
Good evening. I'm Josie Perez. I'm on the board for Waukegan Animals Getting Saved, and my question is, what is the protocol on cats? On owner surrenders, on residents calling when the police department finds animals? What is the protocol?
For collecting
on cats?
For a cat?
Yes, what is the protocol? Because you said you had one cat.
We have one cat there.
But right now it's kitten season. So
I don't know what the protocol is.
You don't know?
No. We can find out.
Okay.
You mean in returning a cat to its
Well, like
owner?
on owner surrender, when residents call, when there's cases, when residents are calling animal control on situations with cats. That's why I want to know what's the protocol.
Yeah, it would be just the same for dogs. We hope we could reunite the cat with its owner. And the cat will be in our facility for a minimum of 3 days, sometimes more, if there's hope of finding the owner. Otherwise, Orphans of the Storm.
Orphans of the Storm takes them. What about when residents call, like on situations when they find like a litter of kittens? What is that protocol?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know if we've had that happen, to my
know.
knowledge. So
Oh.
we're open to being enlightened about things that, as much as we would like to think we're experts on everything, we're not. So we're open to learning about things.
And Randy may have the answers to that. There may very well be a protocol. We just don't know what it is.
Well, I'm definitely willing to help. I help Waukegan Animal Control, Susan Elliott, I help her with the cats. So I'm definitely willing to help our sister Zion Animal Control.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we could use some help.
Charlie Burleson?
I'm sorry, it's actually even on this inspection form. You asked what veterinarian we contract with. I just didn't know the answer to it. Of course, our animal control officer would know. It's Harbor Animal Hospital, 1915 Ninth Street that we contract with. Yeah.
Thanks,
Hi, my name is Charlie Burleson, and I'm here as a concerned citizen. I'm sorry?
Retired Waukegan police officer.
My name is Charlie Burleson, and I'm here as a concerned citizen. I was also on location yesterday when I met with Sue and Carrie at the animal facility, which I would have not even known it was an animal facility. However, I didn't park my car near there. I parked it away from there, and as soon as I got out of my car, the stench was overwhelming. It's not a dog that was just sitting there for one day. So I just want you guys to know under the 225 of the Illinois Compiled Statutes 610, the Illinois Dead Animal Disposal Act, we decided to remove that dog and rebag the dog into 8 large bags because it was in one bag and it was exposed, completely exposed. The body was completely exposed. I'm not here to put blame on anyone, but I think we all needs to take some responsibility under the Humane Care for Animals Act. I think we can work with, if we can work with this community and say, what can we do to make things better for your citizens, the community? I don't live here, but I'm willing to come into this community and help in any way I can. Your officers were very, very professional, very professional. However, they also lack the knowledge because they stated that they don't work with animal control. Are there any standard operating procedures for animal control, Zion Animal Control? Like, can I just go online and look up standard operating procedures? What happens when an animal is injured? Is a report made? Is the animal taken? Every time you respond to an animal call, there should be a report made. Is that standard operating procedures? Wait, let me just answer this one. Are there any standard operating procedures for animal control?
Of course.
Okay, can we find those online?
Let me give you my card.
Okay.
And I can get that information for you, okay? Ma'am?
Oh, thank you. I've had, many times people have called me in Zion, my family lives in Zion, and have issues about never having contact with the animal control warden. Is there somehow, who does he report to? Who can we call if we can't reach him, or the community can't reach him?
Yeah, well, our animal control officer reports directly to the chief of police.
Okay.
And the chief of police reports to me and the mayor. And I mean, I did notice the Facebook posts with this issue, and I was quite concerned about it. My immediate response was to give my phone number and my email address to those of you that were concerned. And I'm happy to discuss these issues with you and address the concerns that you have. This venue is probably not the most appropriate to talk about those things because it's
I'd love to meet with you.
Volatile issue.
I would love to meet with you and talk to you.
We do care about the animals in this town. We try to care for them as best we can. And we want to work with you on this issue, not against you. So please contact me. We'd be happy to talk.
I will.
Sherry Rogers.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Sherry Rogers. I live at 2900 Elam Avenue. I am a pet owner, and I didn't sleep well last night. I saw what was on Facebook. I know what Carrie does. I've known Carrie for many years, and she does great work with animals. And what I seen in that video haunted me all night. Now, you have all seen the pictures. I have yet to see the pictures. And I wonder how well all of you will sleep tonight, but I hope that this stays in your mind and we can work on this together as a community and volunteer. I'm willing to volunteer. Like I said, I grew up here my entire life, and it's embarrassing to see what is happening to these animals. And I'll tell you, animals are our family members, and they're loyal, and they're innocent, and they don't deserve to stay in those conditions. They're scared, they're lost, they want to go home, and they deserve the most comfortable place there could be. And I was wondering as well too, with public service, why they couldn't go and clean those out. I don't think it would take very long if you have one person watch. I don't know.
Well, they are cleaned at least once a day and sometimes twice a day. It's not like nobody's cleaning them out.
Well, from the pictures.
I guess the thing that I noticed about the pictures, I was in Washington, D.C. last night, and I saw these pictures and the posts on Facebook, and I came back and I didn't just come back. I called from Washington, D.C. and asked for information on this. And the area that was shown on the pictures, it looks a whole lot worse than it really is.
But the stench.
Well, I know, and
you can't cover that.
I understand that, but I'm also saying that it was just yesterday that we passed an inspection by the agricultural department.
That's
And
very convenient, sir, considering that was on Facebook.
Are you insinuating that I'm lying?
I am not, but it's...
Then what did the comment mean? I mean, I'm going to call you on it. If you're going to say something like that, I'm going to call you on
Well,
it.
when there's pictures such as that, and now it's cleaned, that Facebook posted, that help make it clean?
Actually,
Was that
the
a motivation
inspection-
factor?
The inspection happened before you were down taking those pictures. And let me just say that...
that is true. That is true, and you can check the timing on the inspection, and then check the timing when the pictures were taken.
Well, I just hope that everybody could come together and I'm willing to volunteer as well. I live just right across the street, so, and I've been here my whole life, and a pet owner as well, and I'd like to get your card too.
And I agree with you, and I will tell you that we will do everything we can to work with you and make the facility exactly what you would like to have down there, within budgetary reason. But I want to say that what I read on Facebook, and somebody said at the beginning that you weren't out here to hurt the city or to attack the city, but what I saw on Facebook, there were a lot of untrue statements that were made that people took as fact. When I got back here, they were telling me that we flunked the inspection. That's the first thing that I heard. I was told that we shoot dogs. I'm now told that we don't kill animals down there. There are a lot of things that were in that Facebook post that have turned out to be untrue. And I'm going to ask each and every one of you that did post on Facebook, when you meet with Commissioner McDowell and you get the facts on exactly what we do and how we do it and what that facility is like, I'm going to ask that you please go back and correct what you've said on Facebook on the things that are untrue. And I'm not saying that to you, ma'am. I'm saying that to everybody that's here. I don't know who posted on Facebook, but it went wild. And I said it upset me. I came back here thinking that we were doing a horrible, horrible job down there, and that's not true. It's not true. We do pass the inspections, and if we do not pass the inspection, then we have an issue. But we do pass it, and that's by the Department of Agriculture. So I guess I think we've had almost 45 minutes of discussion on this, and I would like to just, okay, go ahead, Mike.
Just so that you know that this morning, the Chief of Police and I went down to our kennel along with our animal control officer and one of our CSO officers to inspect the facility there. I want you to know that we're taking this seriously, and we responded to it. We went down there and looked. And there are things that we could do to upgrade that facility, and it's going to take more than just a city budget to do that. It's going to take all of us working together in order to upgrade that facility. So any help that you could provide, especially those two things that I mentioned, resurfacing the floor and providing some beds for the animals down there, that would be a huge help to us.
Appreciate your time, sir. Thank you.
Thank you all. You are all welcome to stay for the. I'm sorry, you needed to sign in, and we've already had 45 minutes on it. I'm just sorry. We're moving on. Item 7 is the consent agenda, and you are all welcome to stay for the rest of the council meeting. We'll take a 2-minute break if you would like to leave. And
this is the one that was lost. Yeah. So direct response to something. This is the one that was on Facebook that people said, this lady, she was posted on my door that I found the dog, and they called animal control 12 times, and nobody returned their call, and it ended up at Orphans of the Storm up for adoption. This poor family was calling and never got a call back ever.
okay, thank you. We will address that. Thank you. We're going to take a 2-minute break if any of you want to leave. Okay, I'd like to call this meeting of the Zion City Council back to order. Item number 7 is the consent agenda. Clerk, please read the consent agenda.
Approval of minutes of a budget workshop held on June 28th, 2018 at 6:02 p.m. A regular meeting held on July 3rd, 2018 at 7 p.m. Approval but not release of closed session minutes held on July 3rd, 2018 at 7:22 p.m. Bills, vouchers 129723 through 129794, drawn on Huntington National Bank, total $875,000, and a proclamation for the 25th anniversary of Potawatomi Trails Powwow.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner Deteen?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. And for the record, I would like to read the City of Zion proclamation. Whereas the Potawatomi Indians, known as the Firekeepers, tenders of the home front, reaped the bounty of their hunting grounds, which we now call Lake County, and established work areas along the shores of Lake Michigan. And whereas, after being forced from their homeland in 1836, are now being welcomed back to visit their native land, home of their ancestors, traveling by way of Green Bay Road, Sheridan Road, and State Route 173, and rightfully so, as all serve their ancestors as major Potawatomi Indian trails. Now therefore, I, Albert W. Hill, Mayor of the City of Zion, do hereby welcome all Native Americans, especially the Potawatomi, on their 25th year of the annual Potawatomi Trail Powwow. Let us honor the Firekeepers with the Native American Powwow, a true celebration of friendship and traditions expressed through dance and music, on August 25th and 26th, 2018 at Shiloh Park. I invite all people to gather to give thanks to the Great Spirit for spiritual guidance and to Mother Earth for satisfying our physical needs. In witness thereof, I have heretofore set my hand and caused the great seal of the City of Zion to be affixed on this, the 17th day of July, 2018. Item number 8 is consider passing ordinances as follows. 8A is making appropriations for the City of Zion fiscal year beginning May 1, 2018 and ending April 30th, 2019 for Administrator Nabel.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. As we discussed in the public hearing, I am recommending approval of the appropriation ordinance for fiscal year 18-19 in the amount of $42,328,758.
Is there a motion?
I'll restate my motion from previous and make it again.
We have a motion to approve?
Second.
And a second. Is there a discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner Deteen?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item number 8B is to renew lease of the unimproved 29th Street right-of-way and unimproved city property totaling 324 square feet for additional parking, per Director Ianson.
Thank you, Your Honor. 1007 29th Street is a 5-unit apartment building. A few years back, they requested to lease a portion of 29th Street right-of-way for additional parking to meet the minimum standards for the city parking.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we renew the lease of the 29th Street right-of-way.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner Deteen?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item 8C is establishing and implementing a program to charge mitigation rates for the development of emergency and non-emergency services by the fire department for services provided rendered for the City of Zion, per Chief Lewis.
Thank you, Your Honor, Council. As you're aware, for the past several meetings, we've been working on a program called Fire Recovery, which allows us to charge various rates for different emergency and non-emergency services. We've tried to work this ordinance to make sure it falls in line with state statute. So after a couple of revisions by Ansel and Blink, you have before you an ordinance which establishes the fire service fees for the Zion Fire and Rescue Department. And it basically covers specialized rescue services and what they call technical rescue services. Everything you have before you falls in line with the state act. And if you see fit, I'd like approval of this ordinance.
I'll make a motion that we approve the ordinance.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Is there discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner Deteen?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item 9 is discussion, authorization, and approval. 9A is consider zoning docket 18Z4 requesting a variance from section 102-203 of the Zion Municipal Code for a theater for the performing arts as petitioned by Zion Benton Township High School, District 126, per Director Ironson. Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval with conditions.
Thank you, Your Honor. Zion Benton Township High School, District 126, is seeking a variance of section 102-203 of the Zion Municipal Code for a theater of the performing arts. The current zoning is R10 single family with a maximum permitted height of 35 feet. The proposed theater stage laws has two options. One with motorized equipment at 55 feet and another with non-motorized equipment of 60 feet. At the July 5th, 2018 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, they voted to approve with conditions not to exceed 60 feet. Mr. Thomas O'Connell is here from Partners of Design if the council has any questions.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question. And at that planning and zoning meeting, a couple questions were asked related to finance, and a question was asked regarding if there was funding in place for the project. I'm just wondering, was there a referendum for this project? Where's the funding coming from?
I don't have that answer, Commissioner.
Is there anybody here representing the school district who might have that answer?
I'm representing them, but
You state your name and your place of residence.
Thomas O'Connell, 1612 North Sheridan Road in Waukegan. I'm here representing Zion Benton District 126. That's one issue. I know that they have the funding. I'm not sure exactly where it's falling in their budget to do that.
Okay. And I have another question, if that's all right.
Sure.
Part of the basis of the decision was that the variance won't impair a source of light or be a hindrance to light and airflow on adjacent properties. So I'm assuming that neighbors were contacted and told of the potential of having a building in their neighborhood that would exceed the height limits.
I can answer that, Commissioner. Yeah. We send out notices within the neighborhoods to notify them of the variance request.
And then part of the basis of the decision was that it would not impair property values within the neighborhood. But I'm assuming tax dollars are going to be used to construct this building, and I'd suggest that that does affect property values in the neighborhood. And I wonder if that point should be reconsidered.
I guess I'm going to ask Director Nabel, do you know how this is being financed?
I don't know the specifics of it. I believe they had a significant surplus that they had accumulated that was going for a large portion of it. I'm not aware of any bonds being issued, but that would have been, that should have been addressed at any of their board meetings where they discussed the approval of the project. But they're a separate taxing body, so I don't have the information on their financials.
Do you know, did they issue bonds, or do you know if they had bonds that ended and then just extended them out and that amount? Is that what?
I don't know. They had, if they had bonds that would have been part of their, potentially part of their levy in prior years that they could have continued to levy for new bonds, rather than let the debt service levy basically fall off of their books. So it's possible that it's still coming from a tax levy, whether it's surplus from prior years or a specific levy, but without.
So there is a possibility that if I heard you correctly, perhaps there was a bond issue that was being paid off. It is paid off, and they are continuing to. They issued new bonds in that same amount that they would continue to without the taxes going up. And I thought I heard you say that they had saved some money?
If they issued bonds for this, they could include the debt service in their levy rather than have the levy reduce if other bonds were expiring if they financed it that way. If they financed it through surpluses on prior levies and accumulated that, then that would have been included in prior levies to fund the project. But I'm not sure which mechanism or which method they might have used.
So, all right, and I guess I'm reading this. What makes sense to me, though, is that if that is the way it was funded, taxes could have gone down, and if there was money accumulated over a number of years, that money could have been used to reduce the taxes also, if that's what I understand. And I guess the point in here is substantially diminish or impair property values within the neighborhood, but I would make the suggestion that not taking the property taxes down keeps property taxes high, which diminishes the property value not only in the neighborhood but of every building in Zion. I'm not sure how my logic works, but I think I've got it right. But go ahead. Did you have anything to say?
I'm not privy to the financing details.
Okay.
But there is a correlation between on taxes and property values, because basically if you have $1,000 a month to spend on your mortgage and interest and taxes, and your taxes are $500 a month, that property now becomes, there's less demand for that property, basically supply and demand, so high taxes result in lower property values in general.
Was there any discussion on somebody from the school district attending the meeting to answer any questions that we might have?
We can have them at the next meeting.
Or come to the next city council meeting? Yeah, was there any public discussion on this construction project that you know of? Or was this a matter handled solely by the board?
There was discussion at school board meetings.
Oh, at public school board meetings?
Correct.
Thanks. I'd like to know how they're funding the project. I don't know if that's germane to the approval of this, but as a resident and a taxpayer, I'd like to know how it was funded.
But is that germane to the height variance request?
What raised the issue for me is the question was asked in the hearing. I mean, in the commission meeting, planning and zoning, and that just made me think.
That was part of the basis of the findings of fact that they're required to review when reviewing the request for the variance.
Yeah.
Right, and the last line on F, on the variance proposed finding of facts, is the proposed variance will not impair or substantially diminish or impair property values within a neighborhood. And, well, I'm not sure that's true.
Yeah, which was one of the bases for the decision.
Right.
I don't know how many bases have to be positive before you can approve it, or do they all have to be?
No, the majority.
Okay.
I think that the counter argument that would come from the school district would be that the construction of a new auditorium would actually enhance the profile of the school, which would actually be a benefit to the community. So you have to be prepared to counter that.
What's the wish of the council?
Is it possible to table it for further discussion, since there seems to be so many questions?
Sure.
There's a motion and a second on the floor right now to, is there,
motion.
no, there's nothing?
Nothing.
Okay,
Yeah.
then I misspoke. I just didn't know where we were.
I'm
Then
sorry.
if the council would like more information from the district, then that would be appropriate, Commissioner,
Yeah.
to continue it or
Is that a motion?
motion to
Yes.
table it
A
to the
motion
next
ta-
meeting
Yes, and to obtain additional information.
from the
We have a
district.
motion and a second for tabling, and there's no discussion on the tabling motion, correct?
No, are we tabling it to the next meeting, or are we
Yes.
just?
Tabling it to
the
the next meeting.
The first meeting in August, the August 7th meeting then? Is that, am I correct on the date? Okay.
Yes.
There's nothing to discuss.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner Deteen?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item 9B is discussion regarding the fiscal year May 1, 2018 through April 30th, 2019. I will, I guess we got to do something. And I would like to set a date for another meeting, but I would like to talk about what our options are and for each of you to meet with Director Nabel sometime within the next, before the next budget meeting, and have him explain what the ramifications for all of these things are that we'll list tonight. And then we need to come to a decision very quickly here. We're getting into our fiscal year, and there's no time to waste. So, David, you want to talk about what some of the alternatives are?
Sure. I mean, as based on our prior budget meetings, you know, we're looking at about a $655,000 net loss for the year with our $400,000 beginning deficit, we're looking at about $1,055,000 overall deficit with the budget as currently presented. You know,
and David, I want to be sure that everybody understands that includes changes to the health insurance.
Correct. We talked about changing of the structure of the health insurance to increase deductibles, but then do a health reimbursement account. If you remember, we had quite a bit of discussion on it. But that includes about $200,000 of savings, about a half a year worth of savings, because by the time we negotiate that, get it implemented, do enrollment, we're going to be at least in October, which is halfway through our fiscal year. Next year, we would get another $200,000 of savings on top of that for a full year. But we have other issues next year that we'd be dealing with, increased pensions, things of that nature. So we'd be back in this boat all over again, unfortunately. But the longer we wait to do something, you know, if we made a decision in April, we would have had 12 months to try and figure out how to come up with $1 million. But now, the longer we wait, we have 6 months to, you know, 7 months to come up with $1 million, and that's a much bigger impact monthly to make up. So the longer we wait, the harder it becomes to address that. There have been quite a few ideas thrown around. None of them are good, but we're gonna have to somehow, to address this, make a decision on something we don't want to. So it's a matter of the best of the worst choices. Mary might have to, if I forget any here, let me know. One of the options is not paying as much into the pension funds. We have a minimum per state standard that we have to do. There are a lot of municipalities, I think there was well over 200 on the list, that are not even making the minimum. We've been making the minimum. That the minimum amount is about $2.8 million between police and fire. There is an idea to bring that down to $1.8 million and enter into an agreement with the pension funds, basically enter an intergovernmental agreement, signing basically an IOU to say we'll pay that out over 10 years or whatever amount we agree to at an interest rate equal to what the fund earned that year, so that the funds are still made whole by the end of it as if the money had been there the whole time. Basically financing, rather than going out and issuing bonds or things of that nature, we're financing that with an intergovernmental agreement, and then we implement. We have basically 8 months to figure out next year how to address any increases in budget rather than having to deal with it immediately. Another option somewhat related to financing is tax anticipation warrants. Again, not an ideal situation because you're pledging next year's tax. We're basically pledging next year's taxes as collateral. Well, then those taxes go to pay back the warrants, and now you end up having to, because you don't have that tax money next year, you end up having to issue them again, and you get this perpetual cycle of borrowing against next year rather than addressing the issue. But that is something that can be addressed, done in relatively short term. Again, as long as we were to address that in the subsequent year to address the deficit. There is options of we've talked about public service safety pension fee. You have a memo in there from Ansel Galink as well. There are some communities that are doing it that are home rule. We're still investigating that as an option, whether it's a fee, whether it's considered a fee or a tax under home rule authority, and you have some response there, but we're still investigating that. But again, that's passing through costs to residents to address our pension shortfalls. We also have furloughs and layoffs. We have a lot of negotiations with unions on whatever we decide, but really with union contracts, and non-union for that matter, layoffs are really since most of our expenses are in salary and benefits, that's what a lot of municipalities turn to. We had a meeting with our auditors not too long ago, and they said we're operating, especially for our size, more lean than most municipalities they see, which is something you've heard from all departments. We're running skeleton crews already. So what the ramifications are for that, I couldn't tell you until we decided when and how many, what the furloughs would be, or any effects of layoffs. We also have options of referendums. If we went to home rule, that gives us a lot of different authorities for crime-free housing, for housing authority to deal with crime. It also gives us taxing authority, where you could go up by more than your initial PTEL cap, or you can implement an additional sales tax. A lot of municipalities don't have higher than a 7% sales tax now, and that's because of the local sales tax increases. So currently our the percentage we get is 1%, and that's capped per state statute for non-home rule. If we went to an additional 1%, a sales tax of 7% versus 8%, that would bring in an additional $2.4 million of revenue, and it would also spread that burden among all surrounding communities or anyone that actually shops in Zion rather than just the taxpayers in here, and it'd probably be a lot more absorbable or tolerable on a regular basis on your purchases. So we could do a referendum for that, to go home rule for all of those tools in our toolbox, but you could also go referendum strictly for a sales tax increase if you wanted. Our deadline for getting anything on the referendum for the November election, we would actually have to pass an ordinance next month to get that to the county, which is pretty short term to be able to get feedback, opinions, do an education process on what the effects on services would be without this, but the deadline would be January 14th of 2019 to get it on the April 19 ballot, and that would give us a little more time. So I think those are all of the kind of solutions, for lack of a better word. So it could be one of those or any combination of those to get to that amount, and that's what we're faced with at this point, because we're not going to get the cuts from general operational expenses. We've brought that down to minimum and then some. All we're left really with is salary, benefits, or revenue.
And the one you left out is we could borrow short term or whatever it would be, borrow from the water fund.
Yeah, I was going to ask. How much do we currently have in the water fund?
We have about $700,000.
So those are some of the things we're looking at. There were a number of things that were mentioned at, I don't know if it was the last council meeting or if it was our last budget workshop. Some of them have been investigated and they just turn out that they're impractical or illegal, but we can't do them. And we're still waiting for information on some of the others. But I think that we need to set a date and come back. And I'm just going to throw out my 2 cents on what we have here. I'm looking at tax anticipation warrants as borrowing. Paying less into the pension is borrowing. Borrowing from the waterfront is borrowing. Referendum from home rule. And a referendum on one, I don't know. I see that to me the two most viable, and I don't like either one of them, is to referendum for 1% sales tax or and furloughs and layoffs. And I just think we have to decide something at our next, whenever we get together to talk about this. We have to come up with a solution.
What steps would we have to take we've talked about if we do the pension option, would that be with the police and fire pension boards?
We would have to present it to the pension boards and see if they're even amenable to the idea of entering into that agreement.
Have you sent out any feelers to the pension board about this? Or?
I have not, because I wanted to make sure we discussed it here first. I mean, we did this probably 5 years ago, and they were cooperative with us then for a payback of some pension funds. We paid a 6% interest rate on that at that time, which was based on what the fund had earned on average during that period. So they've been cooperative in the past, and I think one or both may be understanding of the situation, but I haven't approached it yet because I didn't want to put the cart ahead of the horse if it wasn't something that council would support.
Yeah. Well, I think we should explore that option.
Okay.
None of them are good options. You said that, David. But
Can we look at a meeting sometime between the 30th of August and, or excuse me, July, and the 3rd of August? Somewhere in that week?
I'm going to be out of town starting the 1st, so I could meet the 30th or the 31st, depending on the time.
Chris, are you good on the 31st? It's a Tuesday.
Yeah, actually, the 31st would probably be fine with me because it's end of the month. I'm through with our end of the month payroll cycle at work, so I can arrange that.
Are you guys good on the 31st?
Works for me.
All right, why don't we set it on the 31st at...
Could meet after 1:30.
Okay, let's do, how about 3 o'clock? I don't like daytime meetings, but we may be here a while. 31st at 3 o'clock? Okay. And I just, you know, said it already, just be prepared to come and make some final decisions on what direction we want. Because I think Administrator Nabel is in a tough position to be sending, I think he's got to be careful about sending things out before he gets some direction from us. So let's have him be able to give him some direction.
There's one thing I'd ask, David. Have you done calculations on what the impact would be, how we would structure a furlough across the board?
I think that has to be investigated on a department-by-department basis. We'd be looking at about 10% to make up that type of deficit, which would translate for general full-time employees to about 16 hours a month or 2 days, or 1 shift a month per firefighter, 1 24-hour shift. We may at that point also have to do a I contacted IMRF about that because anyone who would be retiring during the time of the furloughs, we wouldn't want their pension that they're going to get for the rest of their life to be impacted by at a lower amount. Right. So you can do a protection of leave or a protection of status benefit filing with IMRF to basically put a pause button on that, so they wouldn't be negative, double impacted. So that's something we would have to take a look at as well. But how we would structure that with police, with responses, right, fire, city services.
Because you have somebody go out on furlough, who's going to cover? Right. Then you run into...
You would have to not cover, because if you are covering, you're paying overtime, and
exactly,
then you're actually losing 50% on that by paying them time and a half. Right. So it would be a reduction of services regardless that we would have to be willing to accept.
And we had talked about the, and it's still a possibility, the pension fee, the fee that would go into the pension, because there was some, I think people spoke loudly about, maybe we need to increase fees for citizens and things like that. But I just have and I've told this to Mr. Nabel, that I just have a hard time thinking about raising fees on citizens in Zion, let's say $80 a month, so that we can pay $43,000 a year into a fireman's pension fund per firefighter. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You're going to ask us to pay more money so that the city can put $43,000 a year into a pension fund. Now we have to do it anyway, but I don't know how. I don't like any of these. But so anyway,
I think overall the probably would be the most ideal option would be a sales tax, because it doesn't directly impact citizens. It's anybody who passes through, they're going to contribute to the pot.
Right. David, is there can we do that in April?
We could do that in April. The deadline to pass the ordinance would be January 14th, I believe.
Okay.
To get it to the county for the April ballot, or August 20th
for the November
ballot.
Yeah, but does that give us enough time to get the information out?
Well, that's what I said. Then you have a public education process.
And we can't participate in that.
Correct.
But I think it would be, it might be easier to sell that idea to the public for a referendum. Home rule is going to be hard because there's a lot of misconceptions about home rule.
Right, I agree.
So that's a hard one to sell. But I think if we say this is going to alleviate, it's going to keep us from doing something that directly impacts you on your water bill or your property taxes.
Right.
Because it's a minimal increase in the sales tax.
Now, are you talking about November or April?
Well, I don't know that we can get it in and under the wire in November, but maybe we can push it for April.
I mean, we can pass an ordinance to do it in November.
Try to get it on the November ballot?
Yeah, but I'm not sure that's the smartest thing to do.
What's the deadline again? August what?
August 20th.
We have to pass an ordinance by August 20th to get it on the ballot.
Now, again, if we get it on the April ballot, assuming it passes, again, to Commissioner Fisher's point, we're trying to spread that burden away from property taxes to more people, but that's revenue then that wouldn't go in until next fiscal year, and we still have to address
the current
fiscal year, but if there's borrowing, now you have revenue for payback and things like that.
Right. I mean, it's a whole lot more palatable. Right. It's a whole lot more palatable than if we'd have to do short-term borrow. The problem is we're going to do short-term borrowing, assuming that we're going to pass the referendum. Right. But it would be more palatable to do short-term borrowing with the understanding that we're looking at an additional $2 million a year.
Right. And if we could approach the pension funds with that intent,
right,
they may be more amenable to that as well.
To show that we're serious about raising revenue to try to cover this payback.
Right, and we are still serious about spent fuel rods, and there's this lawsuit with the medical marijuana, and there are some possible big ticket revenue sources out there. But
or the 2020 census for potential home rule.
Right, that's another one. So,
but we have to address the immediate issue.
Right. Right. So let's just be prepared on the 31st.
Okay. At 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock. Item number 10 is departmental commentary. Do the department heads have any comments? Item number 11 is announcements. August 7th at 7 p.m. is the Zion City Council meeting. August 21st from 6:15 p.m. is the Zion Township Board meeting. 7 p.m. is the Zion City Council meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Meeting is adjourned. Oh, sure. Yes. Oh, and I plan on being there right now, but let me check my, let me check with the boss. You know how that goes. Okay, all right. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, please.
Yes.
So we're paying.
Okay.
How's your son? I think I saw a picture of you on Facebook down in Texas. Did I not?
Yeah, BREMNNER.
Okay.
I have big reservations
Correct.
about
Okay, the second one's coming.
public utility.
Okay.
Because right now, water district passes costs. Because I sat on that board for 4 years. So basically,
Big time just to
what's
come
charged
back.
is what it costs to period. The problem I have with turning it over to a for-profit company,
And that begs the question for me,
because I pulled data on this and shared it with the mayor. The studies show
you're,
And then you said, this is happening.
3 times.
go to referendum, or put it out to the
And the service doesn't.
But they also, they kept their.
I'll hear you now, like, you have a chance.
Right, and I would rather that we not go down that road, because
And they could have dropped it.
it's a
So they could've
short-term
dropped
sell.
it. They could've-
Oh, yeah, I know.
For a short-term benefit, and in the long run,
I'm making a point.
the residents pay the cost.
Yes, I'm so frustrated with it. I got about 6 people here on it. I'm gonna stick my nose out.
Exactly.
It's a good one. No pun intended. Pun intended.
Okay.